So 3 months. That's usually the magic number, right? It's when the new phone smell wears off, the hype dies down, and you actually start living with the quirks. I've been using this Lavender iPhone 17 as my daily driver. Well, technically my secondary daily driver alongside my 17 Pro for about 90 days now. And honestly, this might be the most confusing year to be an iPhone buyer in the best way possible. In this video, I want to talk about what it's actually like to live with the base model iPhone 17 long term. We're going to cover everything: the design, that new display that everyone is talking about, performance, battery life, and the cameras. But I also want to be super real with you about the software, specifically Apple Intelligence, and the downsides that nobody really mentions until you've bought it. When this phone first dropped back in September, the conversation was loud. For years, the base model iPhone was always the good enough phone. It was the phone you bought for your parents or if you didn't care about tech. But this year, Apple did something different. They finally blurred the line. But is it enough to make you skip the Pro? Let's find out. Okay, let's start with the display. For the longest time, if you bought a base iPhone, you were stuck with a 60Hz screen. And look, if you've never used high refresh rate, you probably didn't care. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. This year, for the first time, the base iPhone 17 uses a ProMotion display that goes from 1 Hz all the way up to 120 Hz. And I have to say, it's fantastic. It's buttery smooth. Scrolling through Twitter, swiping between apps, it makes the base model feel like a Pro model. It's that premium feel that so many iPhone users have been dreaming about for years, and now it's finally a dream come true. I took this thing glamping on a mountain slope last weekend, and even under direct sunlight, it was perfectly readable. We're talking 3000 nits of peak brightness, same as the Pro. It's just immersive. Design-wise, if you put it next to last year's iPhone 16, it looks pretty similar. You've got the action button and the camera control button we saw introduced last year, but in the hand, it's subtle, but the edges feel softer. It's not as sharp as the iPhone 12, 13, or 14 series. It's just more comfortable. Also, the screen is technically bigger now at 6.3 inches, up from the old 6.1 inches. But because the bezels are so incredibly thin, the phone doesn't feel huge, it's just all screen. When you look at it next to an older model, the gap is massive. The iPhone 17 just looks modern. Now, let's talk power. Under the hood, we have the new A19 chip, and look, I'm not a huge benchmark nerd, but I did run Geekbench 6 just to see what we're working with. As you can see here, the scores are actually insane. I got 3,573 on single core and 9,143 on multi-core. For the GPU metal score, it hit 37,286. To put that in perspective, this base model chip is beating last year's Pro Max models. It's wild, and I know the iPhone 16 base model was fast, but because it was limited to a 60Hz screen, it sometimes felt choppy even if the chip was powerful. On the 17, that 120Hz display lets the A19 chip actually shine. It feels instant. I haven't done a ton of hardcore gaming, but I loaded up a few AAA titles and paired with that smooth display, the experience is great. However, keep in mind, this phone doesn't have the vapor chamber cooling system the Pro has. So if you're gaming for like an hour straight, it gets warm. It's not dangerous, but you feel it. But for 99% of people, this chip is overkill. And we have to mention iOS 26. You've probably seen the memes about the new liquid glass style. Personally, I love it. The new animations, the way the light seems to interact with the UI elements, it's really great to see on this display. It feels like the software was made for the screen. Then there is Apple Intelligence. Everyone asks me about this. Is the AI worth the upgrade? Honestly, for me, it's not a huge deal. You know, Apple Intelligence right now still feels kinda early, almost like a beta product. It's good for summarizing emails or proofreading text, but for the heavy lifting, I usually just open an alternative that's more powerful, like Gemini or ChatGPT. The A19 runs those apps super fast anyway, so I don't feel like I'm missing out by not using Apple's native tools for everything. Alright, camera time. On the back, we've finally moved to a fully high-resolution system with a dual 48 megapixel setup. First, let's talk about the main sensor. This is the 48 megapixel Fusion camera. It's called Fusion because it essentially does the job of two lenses. It uses the middle 12 megapixels of the sensor to give you a 2x optical quality zoom. So even though there isn't a third telephoto lens physically on the back, you still get really sharp portrait shots at 2x without losing quality. It's great, it's reliable, and it's what you'll use most of the time. But the real upgrade here is the ultra wide. This is now 48 megapixels too, replacing that old 12 megapixel sensor we've had for ages. Why does this matter? Well, for one, macro shots. Because you have way more pixels to play with. When you get super close to a subject like a leaf or fabric texture, the detail is incredible. It's not soft or muddy like the old ones. And 2, low light. The sensor uses pixel binning to combine 4 pixels into one large pixel to gather more light. This means your ultra wide angle shots at night are going to be much cleaner and less grainy. That being said, I want to manage expectations. For most point-and-shoot scenarios like just snapping a pic of your lunch or a sunset, you honestly won't notice a massive difference from the iPhone 16 immediately. The default output is still usually 24 megapixel or 12 megapixel to save space, but knowing you have that raw resolution headroom if you want to crop in later, that is a professional feature that has finally trickled down to the base model. And of course, the real story here is the front camera. You've probably seen this on TikTok or Twitter. It's the new 18 megapixel square sensor. Because the sensor is square, you can take landscape selfies while holding the phone vertically. It sounds like a gimmick, but it's actually really functional. You can fit way more people in the shot without doing that awkward arm stretch or rotating your phone. I really believe a lot of Android competitors are going to copy this next year. It's just fun, and the quality is a huge jump from the old 12 megapixel shooters. The only thing is no telephoto lens. If you want to zoom in past 2x, it's all digital. That's the one spot where I miss my Pro. Quick update on battery life. My unit is the Lavender one, and after 3 months of using it as a backup and daily driver, I have 46 cycle counts, and the battery health is of course still at 100%. This phone easily pulls an all-day shift. I'm getting through a full day of work, social media, and navigation with about 20% left in the tank. It's solid. So what's the catch? Well, there are a few things you need to consider. First, if you transfer a lot of files to your laptop via cable, this is still using USB 2.0 speeds, it's slow, like painfully slow if you're trying to move 4K video. If you're a content creator who uses a cable, get the Pro. Second, like I mentioned, the lack of optical zoom. If you're at a concert or a soccer game, you're gonna wish you had that 5x lens. And third, while the lavender color is gorgeous, I recommend a case. The glass is tough, but it's still glass. So the verdict, iPhone 17 review 3 months later. For me, this is just the best value iPhone Apple has ever made. It's not just the latest and greatest, it's actually worth the money. You get the chip, the 120Hz display, the premium design, and great battery life. If you are currently using an iPhone 13, 14, or even a base model 15, this is a massive upgrade. The screen alone makes it feel like a completely new device. This year, unless you need that long zoom or super fast USB-C data transfer, you just don't need a Pro iPhone anymore. The Pro is almost too much for most people now. The iPhone 17 is humble, but it delivers where it counts. Anyway, that's been my experience. Let me know in the comments if you're planning to pick one up or if you're holding out for the slim model. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.